Hello, today we're looking at 6.1, the formation of Alabama's government, and at the end of the section of our study, you need to know how did Alabama become a state? This is a question that is our essential question that we need to be able to answer at the end of our study. The terms that you need to know. The first term is census. A census is an official count of people. An oath is a pledge. A capitol with an OL is a building in which the legislature meets, okay? That's capitol with an OL. And the capitol, inside the capitol has a dome and a rotunda. The dome is a roof that's round and hollow. And then the rotunda is the round dome section. Also, next is your artesian well. That's a flowing well. And right here, you can see that this is our artesian well. Let's look at a capitol, a dome, and a rotunda. This is our actual state capital in Montgomery. It's the capital of, which Montgomery is the capital of our state of Alabama, the great state of Alabama. So here is the dome, okay? All right. The dome and the rotunda, all right? And if you were standing down here on the floor level of the Capitol and you were looking up, you would see the dome and the rotunda. You see how it's kind of round? This is the mural that is on the ceiling, the round section of the Capitol. And you can see how it's rounded at the top. St. Stephen's in Washington County was the capital of Alabama Territory in 1818. Now keep in mind, this timeline is from 1810 to 1850. The territory's first chartered school was here. Traders and visitors would travel by Huntsville Road on the Tombigbee River, and they would travel aboard this steamboat, or steamboats. This particular steamboat is the Eliza Battle steamboat, and they would travel from Columbus, Montgomery, and Mobile aboard this Eliza Battle steamboat along the Tombigbee River. And here, and we looked at it last time too, the Tombigbee River runs from the Gulf of Mexico, Mobile, all along the southwestern side of the state, the western side of the state, and then here is the Tombigbee Waterway, and it would go all the way up to Mississippi, Tennessee, and the northwestern corner of the state. The first legislature met in 1818 with 13 delegates. The governor asked the men to improve schools and transportation. The legislature approved a census to count the citizens. By 1819, there were enough people for Alabama to become a state. Congress approved statehood, and the governor and the legislature decided to move the capital to Dallas County in the center of the state. John Hunt, and this is Mr. Hunt right here. He came to the area of Huntsville in 1805. The settlement was called Hunt Springs, and then it was called Twickenham, and later Huntsville. It became a temporary capital for Alabama. This is Huntsville on the map, up all the way up in North Alabama. In March 1819, Congress said Alabama could write its constitution. This is what the Alabama Constitution looks like. Delegates met in Huntsville and chose John William Walker as president of the convention. The government was then set up with 3 branches. You have the legislative branch, which consists of Congress, the House of Representatives, and the Senate. You have the executive branch, which enforces the laws. At the national level, it's the White House. And then the president and the vice president. And then at the state level, it's the governor. And our governor now is Kay Ivey. Of course, the first governor was William Wyatt Bibb, and we'll get to him in just a minute. And then the third branch is the Supreme Court. Okay? And the Supreme Court is the judicial branch. They rule on the meaning of the laws. In September 1819, Alabama citizens elected their first legislature and governor, William Wyatt Bibb, and this is Mr. William Wyatt Bibb. On December the 14th, 1819, the president declared Alabama the 22nd state. So in 1819, we became the 22nd second state. And of course, here is our state flag. Cahaba, this is Cahaba right here. Cahaba seemed to be a good choice for the capital. The governor made plans for the city and the Capitol building. The government moved to the Capitol building in 1820 with two rivers for transportation and wealthy farmland all around. It seemed that Cahaba could grow. The state government started well. Cahaba grew and people had a good feeling about the state. It was the era of good feelings. Steamboats made stops at the new capital and fine homes were built, drawing water from the artesian wells. Remember, these are the artesian wells. Lafayette comes to Alabama. Right down here in this corner, this is Lafayette. Some people pronounce it Lafayette. During this time, General Marquis de Lafayette visited the state. He had an important role as the French officer helping during the American Revolution. Crowds of people cheered and greeted Lafayette in cities and towns, including Cahaba and Montgomery. In 1825, heavy rains caused the river to rise and flood the town. The Capitol building's first floor was underwater. This weakened the building's foundations and the building began to crumble. Legislators voted to move the Capitol to Tuscaloosa, but the city of Cahaba grew until another flood came in 1865. And here is the Capitol in Tuscaloosa. All right, so far, if you look right over here, you see our first capital was St. Stephen's County, then Huntsville, then Cahaba, then Tuscaloosa, and then Montgomery. And I've got it mapped out for us on the map here. So here's St. Stephen's County in the western part of the state. Then it went to Huntsville, then Cahaba, Huntsville's up here, then to Tuscaloosa, then to Montgomery. And you need to know those 5 capitals, and you need to know them in the order that they happen. Tuscaloosa was a river town. All right, so now we're back over here on this side. Capital number 4, it was a river town. As capital, the city grew quickly. Steamboats were busy on the river. Schools and the University of Alabama classes began. And by 1829, the new capital opened. In less than 20 years, though, the legislature voted to move the capital to Montgomery. Land was donated for a new Capitol building on Goat Hill. Records were brought to the new Capitol, but many were lost in a fire in 1849. Another building was built and completed in 1851. The 3-story rotunda is beneath the dome of the beautiful landmark